Good morning, second graders. I hope you had a great weekend and I hope you are ready for another week of learning. Next week we have a short week and then pretty soon it's going to be Thanksgiving break. It's hard to believe that we are already almost in November. This is the last week of October. Just a quick note, I'm doing this at the end of the day. So there is a chance that someone's going to come on over the overhead speaker. And if that's the case, we're just going to pause for a minute and then keep going. So just a quick note, I'm not going to be in school on Tuesday. So that really doesn't affect you very much. But if there's a quick question, I'm not going to be able to answer it because I won't be at school. And I am taking the day off. So just letting you know. All right, so I'm going to read a book about a little girl who sticks with something even though it's not easy. And like my little Bitmoji character who's pushing up a rock up the hill, and I asked you if you knew what the word perseverance means. And perseverance means not giving up even when something's hard. And it's really easy to give up when something's hard, to just throw in the towel and say, I can't do this. But it takes a lot of courage and strength to persevere and stick with something even when it's hard. And I found that in my life, it's those times when I stick with something that I can feel really proud of myself at the end because it didn't come easy.
DJ Newland and Emery Miles to parent pickup.
So I'm wondering if you can think of any time in your life where you have persevered. Maybe it's at school, maybe it's something in your life that you were having a really hard time with, but you overcame it. It doesn't have to always do with schoolwork. It could do with a sport or maybe an instrument, or maybe just how you are emotionally dealing with something. Sometimes you have to persevere through something that's going on in your life. So this book is called Amazing Grace. And it's one of my favorites. I say that all the time, but there's just so many good books out there. So I'm going to read it to you, and I hope you enjoy it as much as I do. Grace was a girl who loved stories. She didn't mind if they were read to her or told to her or made up in her own head. She didn't care if they were in books or movies or out of Nana's long memory. Grace just loved stories.
Students at right bus 156. Bus 156, please report to the cafeteria. That is our final bus. Bus 156.
My apologies. Grace just loved stories. After she had heard them, and sometimes while they were still going on, Grace would act them out, and she always gave herself the most exciting part. Grace went into battle as Joan of Arc and wove a wicked web as a Nazi the spider. She hid inside the wooden horse at the gates of Troy. She went exploring for lost kingdoms. She sailed the 7 seas with a peg leg and a parrot. She was Hiawatha sitting by the shining Big Sea River, or Mowgli in the backyard jungle. Looks like her cat's good at pretending with her, too. Most of all, Grace loved to act out adventure stories and fairy tales. When there was no one else around, Grace played all the parts herself. She set out to seek her fortune with no companion but her trusty cat, and found a city with streets paved in gold, where she was Aladdin rubbing his magic lamp to make the genie appear. Sometimes she could get Ma and Nana to join in, when they weren't too busy. Then she was Dr. Grace, and their lives were in her hands. One day, Grace's teacher said they would be doing the play Peter Pan. Grace knew who she wanted to be. When she raised her hand, Raj said, "You can't be Peter, that's a boy's name." But Grace kept her hand up. "You can't be Peter," whispered Natalie. "He isn't black." But Grace kept her hand up. "All right," said the teacher. "Lots of you want to be Peter Pan, so we'll have auditions next week to choose parts." She gave them words to learn. So right here, this would have been so easy for Grace to say, "They're right. I can't be Peter Pan. I'm a girl. I'm not, or I'm black." She could have given in to them, But you know what? I don't think she's going to do that. And good for her. She shouldn't. And those are mean things for those kids to say. When Grace got home, she seemed sad. "What's the matter?" asked Ma. "Roz says I can't be Peter Pan because I'm a girl." "That just shows what Raj knows," said Ma. "A girl can be Peter Pan if she wants to." Grace cheered up. Then later she remembered something else. "Natalie says I can't be Peter Pan because I'm black," she said. Ma looked angry. But before she could speak, Nana said, "Seems that Natalie is another one who don't know nothing. You can be anything you want, Grace, if you put your mind to it." Here's that word, perseverance. Here's where it kicks in. On Saturday, Nana told Grace that they were going out. In the afternoon, they caught a bus and train into town. Nana took Grace to a grand theater. The sign outside read, "Rosalie Wilkins in Romeo and Juliet," in sparkling lights. "Are we going to the ballet, Nana?" asked Grace. "We are, honey, but first I want you to look at this picture." Grace looked up and saw a beautiful young ballerina in a tutu. Above the dancer, it said, "Stunning New Juliet." "That one is little Rosalie from back home in Trinidad," said Nana. "Her granny and me, we grew up together on the island. She's always asking me if I want tickets to see Rosalie dance, so this time I said yes." After the ballet, Grace picked the part of Juliet, dancing around her room in her imaginary tutu. "I can be anything I want to be," she thought. On Monday, the class met for auditions to choose who was best for each part. When it was Grace's turn to be Peter, she knew exactly what to do and all the words to say. She had been Peter Pan all weekend. She took a deep breath and imagined herself flying. When it was time to vote, the class chose Raj to play Captain Hook and Natalie to be Wendy. There was no doubt who would be Peter Pan. Everyone voted for Grace. "You were fantastic," whispered Natalie. The play was a big success, and Grace was an amazing Peter Pan. After it was all over, she said, "I feel as if I could fly all the way home." "You probably could," said Ma. "Yes," said Nana. "If Grace put her mind to it, she can do anything she wants." The end. So there is a story about perseverance. I would love in your journal later for you to write about a time in your life where you have shown perseverance. It's a great skill and quality to have because there's always going to be something in your life that's hard, and it's important to not give up because you know what? You can do it, but you got to put your mind to it. All right, goodbye.